Okay, let's talk about the difference between prebiotics and probiotics. So it can be a bit confusing name-wise. They share similar prefixes and similar indications, but really, prebiotics are the food for various microorganisms which reside within our digestive system, or at the very least, we would like to reside there. Um, and so, I mean, I'll just use watercress as an example. It's very delicious. It's nutrient dense, and of course, I happen to have some, so convenience is is kind of key here. But it's a fibrous vegetable, and that means that when we ingest it, unlike something like say table sugar, which is of course a carbohydrate, we're left with a bunch of material that just continues to pass through the digestive system, and then that provides food for various organisms along the way, specifically in the colon. Um, and unlike working out in your jeans or maybe deep frying everything you can find in beef fat, we have a lot of data indicating that eating fibrous vegetables is a promoter of good health. And so where it gets a little bit more controversial is when we start talking about probiotics, because the reality is the microbes in these things need to actually get through all the way into where they want to colonize, right? And so in this case, this is like a sauerkraut, I like to call it. It's basically 50% cabbage and 50% other vegetables that have been shredded and lacto-fermented. Um, and so it's live. There is full of active and live bacteria, mostly lactobacillus. There's going to be some leuconostoc and pediococcus probably in there as well, but it's mostly lactobacillus strains. And so that's great. But for me to eat that, that means that it has to survive just not only salivary enzymes and acids, which those particular ones probably will, but then it makes it into the stomach, which is a highly acidic environment. There's gastric juices, there's bile salts and such things to contend with as well. Moving into the small intestine, we've got a bunch of enzymes that are probably not necessarily conducive to staying alive if you're a microbe. And then once you get down into the large intestine or the colon, which is where about 90% of our microbiome exists, it has to actually colonize, which means that it has to get along with all its new neighbors, and that environment actually has to be hospitable for procreation and proliferation. And so that's where the controversy comes into play. So where we can sort of remove this controversy and say, well, why would we eat this stuff in the first place if we don't know if it's going to work? Exactly, we don't know if it's going to work. We don't see any harm necessarily, but here's where it gets interesting. So this is a probiotic. This is also a prebiotic. If this would have been completely digested by all the microorganisms in there, it would be, well, it'd probably be nothing except for a waste product, but it would be just sludge, right? And no one's going to want to eat that, so it's kind of a no biotic. But this is a pre and a probiotic because there's still a ton of fibrous vegetables in here. So we're getting the benefits of all of it. We're getting the nutritional density of something that's been sort of pre-digested. We're getting all of the non-digested material, which we're using as a prebiotic, and then we're getting the potential probiotic advantages, assuming that these actually make it through. And then thirdly, there's something called postbiotic, which is a bunch of sort of inactive and unviable bacteria, which also can promote excellent gut health. So there you have it. Pre, pro, post, the whole package in one thing. Let's get fermenting.